We'll take a look at project roles as it relates to scheduling. We'll just jump into a demonstration of the project roles, but what we'll be outlining here is how you define a project role. And roles have not changed per se. When it comes to setting them up, you still go and set them up in the same spot, and you can define a role and the characteristics that you want involved in a role. But what the new piece of functionality is that you can actually assign a role to a specific resource. So we'll show you how you can assign a role to a resource. And then there's also some other bells and whistles around resources that we'll define. And you can also assign a price to a role, which we'll revisit that piece of functionality. Okay, so we're going to set up a role and assign it to a resource, and then we'll define a price around that role. So the role concept existed in previous versions of the product, but it was extended on RTW of Dynamics AX. So if we go to project management, setup, resources, and then setup roles, this is basically where you define the roles that are applicable for your projects. And out of the box, you get one, which is the team member role. So if you try and schedule towards any project without any roles defined, the logic will always create this team member role. So that one you have by default, and you can't assign characteristics to it. Other than that, you can hit the new button, and we'll just create a role called functional consultant. And we'll hit the create button to create it. So that is how you define a role, and then you have the option of creating characteristics associated with this role. So if you want AX to take a look at your resources and suggest the best resource based on competencies in the system, you can assign those to a role. So if you click the choose characteristics button, basically you get a view where you can look at the skills, certificates, and education that you've set up in the HR module. So just for instance, education, it'll show me all the different educations that we've set up, and then you can just basically select one and assign it to the search criteria, and then for this role it's going to look for anybody with accounting education. I'm going to leave that alone for now because I just want to show you how to create a role. So we created the role and we don't have any characteristics. Now let's go assign that role. This is the new functionality within Dynamics AX. So you can think of roles as groupings of resources now outside of scheduling. So basically you can come in, create the group, which we call functional consultants, and then we can go to the resource list. These are all resources that have been released to work on projects. There are employees that are not released to work on projects, that's why I say that. But for instance, if we start scrolling through here, we can see that Allison Brown, she has a resource category ID of software developer. But this Aaron Kahn resource does not have a role assigned to him. So basically, if we want to assign the functional consultant role that we just created to Aaron, you can go up to the action menu on the project resource tab, and there's the resource role button. And you can see that there's a record already added. It's effective of 1/1/16, and it doesn't have anything assigned to him. So I'm going to delete that. I don't know why that's there. But what we're going to do is add a new one, and we're basically going to assign one of our roles to Aaron. So we'll hit 1/1/16 for effective. Never expires. So things to note about this form is that you can only have one effective role at a time, so you can't have overlapping effective and expiration dates. So only one active role. I could add another one, but I'd have to expire this one at some point and activate the other one after the expiration date. So only one role per employee. Okay, so now I have Aaron Kahn. He's considered a functional consultant because we assigned a role to him. And now let's just set up a price for a sales price and a cost price. We'll just set up a sales price because cost price is the same concept. So you can see that he's already getting some default information of a cost price and a sales price, but we know functional consultants bill in at a higher rate than 300. They bill in at 350. So if we jump to our pricing tables, so if we go under setup, prices, and we'll say sales price hours, Here's the table that we can assign all our prices to, or create all our pricing. So I'll just create a new one. I'll say 1116, it's active. And the second column is what we're interested in. It's at the roles, so we can define a functional consultant. And we can say that it's not applicable to a specific project, it's applicable to all projects. And we have a 350 rate. So I will close out of this form, which commits the record for us. And then if we go back to our resource list, now we can see Aaron Kahn, functional consultant. There's his default sales price of $350, and he's still billing or a cost to the company of $180. All right, so that's how you define a role, assign it to an existing user, and then even assign a price to it.